Good morning. This is Pastor Jason of Kona Faith Center with the word for today. And the word for today is to even more. In the letter to the Thessalonians, Paul writes something very interesting. You have been taught how to live to please God. Now, Paul was in Thessalonica for 3 weeks. How do you teach somebody to live in a way to please God in 3 weeks? More accurately, how do you teach somebody to live in a way to please God in 3 Sabbaths or 3 Sunday services? The answer is buried in the middle of the chapter. God has given us His Holy Spirit. Paul writes, you've been taught how to live to please God, and then he gives the command, live that way. Once again, the only way I can see this is possible for those in the Thessalonian church and for us today is to be led by the Holy Spirit. Then Paul writes that live that way even more, or if you're a King James person, more and more. And here is the core of walking with Jesus. Let the Holy Spirit teach us how to walk with Jesus and please God, yes. Let the Holy Spirit empower us to walk with Jesus and please God, yes. But never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop letting the Holy Spirit teach us, empower us to walk with Jesus and please God more and more, even more. The goal of the Christian life is growth. Even more growth, more and more growth. Let me say that we don't forget what we have learned, but we build upon the foundation of what we have learned. My personal take on this is that the Holy Spirit is always challenging me to learn and grow in a specific area. He always has something on my plate he's asking me to deal with. In a natural sense, I would respond to this with striving, working, focused effort, becoming intense about it, losing sight of everything else. But in the spiritual sense, this is an adventure. It's an exploration. It's being open to the leading and guiding, the teaching of the Holy Spirit with wonder, with anticipation, with awe, with expectation, with joy, without becoming so focused on the issue at hand that I lose sight of everything else. Now, Paul revisits the subject with love each other. And then he says, love each other even more and more. Once again, a command to continue to grow, and in this case, in loving each other, the royal law. And then he says something really interesting, do all you can to live a peaceful life. I love this because it's a command to trust God, to rely on God, and to obey God in every circumstance, and then do it even more, and do it more and more. And in doing all of this, he reminds us to mind our own business, do our own work, take responsibility for ourselves, and not be worried about taking responsibility for others. Paul writes something that's very interesting to me about all of this stuff. He says the person that refuses to do this is disobeying God. This means that learning, growing, maturing are not optional. And we have to remember this is to be done with joy. The joy of learning, the joy of growing, the joy of maturing, the joy of loving, the joy of being loved, even more and more. The word for today is to even more. God bless. Check in tomorrow.